Hey. Time for the Out of This World story from rSpace. Thanksgiving is going to be real special this year. Nothing says gratitude and togetherness like serving your wife divorce papers between the turkey and the cranberry sauce. Today on rSpace, what are you grateful for? Exposed my cheating wife at the Thanksgiving dinner she forced me to attend. Left her to deal with her family's disappointment alone. I'm a 38 male and my wife, Jackie, is 35 female, and we've been married to each other for 8 years now. We met at our local church, started talking, and fell for each other almost straight away. Our marriage was very good for the first 80% or so of it, but after that point, it just seemed like she stopped trying. To say that I tried to communicate would be an understatement. I've always been good at speaking my feelings and trying to understand the feelings of others, but in her case, she never had much to say. Even though it was clear that something was wrong, she would claim that everything was fine. It's been like that for over a year now. I've asked her if she wanted a divorce and whether she was tired of me, but she would always react strongly to that, claiming that she didn't want a divorce. Because of our 2 children, I kept living through it. But to be honest, if we didn't have children, it would have been enough reason for me to leave. Blame it on my beliefs, but I try my best not to look at divorce too lightly. It's a really big move to make, and since my children were in the middle of it all, I really had to keep myself from pulling the trigger on that. At this point, I think I have a very good idea of why my wife's mood has changed so significantly. It's the obvious answer, and it's that there's someone else in her life. She has that other person who excites her more, so every second that she spends with me is miserable. I'm the one thing that's stopping her from constantly being with the person who makes her happy. I came to that conclusion before I even had proof of it. It was just a gut feeling. There wasn't anything else that I could blame myself for. I take her out. I'm a good father. I treat her well. I provide. I'm good in the bedroom. I listen to her problems. What is it that I don't do that I could do for her? Like I said, she doesn't even acknowledge that there's a problem. So how am I meant to improve? I suggested once that we see a marriage counselor, and she got pissed off at me. She said I was trying to say that she was the problem in our relationship. How she reached that conclusion, I can't say. I never suggested it again because of that. Even when it comes to being a mother, she's still good, but she seems a lot more impatient with dealing with our kids. And I've had to scold her on multiple occasions when I can see that she's starting to get out of hand. How was I supposed to help a woman who refused to talk about what was bothering her? There's really no way to do that when you're not a mind reader. So at a point, I just left her to her moods and her attitude, and I learned to live around it. I would focus on my children and make sure that they were getting the father that they deserved. Anyway, like I said, I started to suspect that there was someone else involved in her life, and I made sure that I was going to explore that possibility and figure out whether it was the case or not, because I couldn't keep living that way that I was. Despite the way I held divorce as a sort of last resort, it was getting a lot closer to the front of the line for me. Our kids are too young for me to wait until they're well into their teenage years and will be able to handle the divorce better. Before things got to that point, I decided to do some deep diving to see what I could find out about Jackie. I waited until a day that I saw her dressing up a little nicer than usual, and then I waited for her to go to her car and leave. As soon as she did, I grabbed my kids, put them in my car, and trailed her. Thankfully, anyone going into the actual city center from where we live has to drive straight for quite some distance. She's a crap driver, so I knew that she wasn't checking her mirrors nearly enough to notice me behind her. I was keeping plenty of distance to make sure she couldn't read my plates, too. It helped that it was already getting dark. Thankfully, I didn't need to follow her for too long. About 20 minutes later, she pulled in a residential neighborhood and went into one of those houses. I couldn't see the person who opened the door for her, but I had a strong feeling it was a man. I was parked far, and the inside of the house was dark, but I saw the person's hand and forearm, and I'm about 70% sure it was a man. I waited for 30 minutes, but she didn't come out, and at that point, I decided to take my kids for ice cream and then take them back home. When she got back, I asked her where she had gone, and she said that she had gone to see a friend. I asked who, and she acted like she didn't hear me. I again asked, and she said, "You don't know her." I hate how much I just want a normal marriage because my mind wanted to take the her as the absolute truth, because it just makes life easier. The thing is, I just didn't believe her. I still don't. I think that experience was all I needed to know that I need to hire a PI. I have children and I can't keep putting them in danger to trail my wife, who is very likely cheating on me. Instead, I'll leave it to a professional who can document everything a lot better than I can. That way, if I'm going to divorce her, I'll have very solid evidence on my side too. So for now, I'm going to try and relax and just wait for the expert to do his job. If she's cheating on me, as I fear, then there's no reason whatsoever for me to hesitate in divorcing her. She doesn't deserve that life that I'm struggling to give her, if that's the case. Update 1. Hello everyone. This is an update to the story I was telling about my wife, Jackie. She's been a horrible partner for the last year and some change, and I suspected it was because she was cheating. I followed her one day, saw her enter a house, and I suspect that she went to see her affair partner. Because I have children, I chose to hire a PI instead of trying to follow her around myself, and I've done that. Here's how that went. I looked online and found a PI who had really good reviews in my city. I went to his office and explained the entire situation to him. I asked him what he thought, and he really said that he didn't like to make judgments before he had evidence. But when I insisted, he said that my hunch wasn't poorly founded, that there was a large possibility that she was cheating on me. He told me that he'd tail her for as long as I wanted. His services were rather expensive, but I chose for him to tail her for specific hours each day of the week, though Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were the most important ones to me, since that's when she had the most freedom. Well, it seemed like I had the right idea when I chose those days. It was hard waiting for him to give me an update, but when he eventually did, it was exactly what I expected to hear. He told me that he had trailed her, and during one of those weekends, she had headed towards the beach. He followed her there, and when she got there, she met up with a man. He gave me pictures of the two of them. The guy was clearly younger, maybe in his late 20s. They hung out at the beach for the whole afternoon. They didn't do anything explicit, but there were photos of him rubbing sunscreen on her and her resting her head and hand on his chest. For a married woman, that was explicit enough. Then he said that on another day, they had met in town just after work. They had taken his car quite a distance to a parking lot that was abandoned, and from the video that he showed me, it was clear that they had sex in that car. You could see it rocking, and you could see the bodies moving through the windshield. And to make it undeniable, they dressed up in the car. But both of them got out of the car once they had fully dressed to straighten out their clothes and look presentable. It was the same guy as at the beach. The PI had a name for me. The man whom my wife was cheating on me with was named Nate, and surprise, surprise, he was married too. When he showed me a picture of the house, I recognized it as the same house that she had gone to the day that I had trailed her. So it was clear that she was having a full-blown affair with this guy. I did ask the PI if he was sure that Nate was married because Jackie had gone to his house, and if he had a wife and maybe children, that wouldn't be possible. He didn't have children, and the PI couldn't tell me why she had been able to go to his house. It was possible that his wife hadn't been around that night. I thanked him for everything, because his service alone had just changed my life. Instead of just a suspicion, I now had solid proof that Jackie was cheating on me and that it was a full-blown affair that she was fueling on a weekly basis. As much as it hurts to know that you have a cheating partner, I think there's a sense of satisfaction in knowing that you caught them without any deniability. I don't have to dig through phones or anything like that. I definitely recommend a PI if you ever find yourself in a similar situation to the one that I was in. Anyway, I'm not going to confront her yet. I already knew I was living with the person who was not the person who I got married to. It's not going to hurt for me to wait a little longer. There's a Thanksgiving party that her family hosts every year, and because of how bad things are between us, I insisted that I wasn't going. However, she really wants me to go, and it was evident because her mood towards me has changed recently. She's a little more agreeable, and it is clear that she's trying to sweeten things and give me a reason to go. My suspicion is that her family has no idea how bad things are between us, and if I don't show up but the kids do, it's going to give a very bad look. She's trying to avoid that, and she wants to keep up appearances by having me come over. Every single one of her relatives adores me, so I can see why she's ready to put so much effort into having me come. The worst part is that she's almost acting like the woman she was some years ago. It hurts badly to see that part of her show. She's capable of bringing it out, but for me, on a normal day, she won't. I'm sure her affair partner, Nate, sees this part of her. She just doesn't think that I'm deserving of it anymore, and for no fault of my own. I have something planned for her at the Thanksgiving dinner. If she wants me to come so bad, then I'll be there. But I think it might end up being a good time for me and me alone. Don't worry, if it goes exactly as I want, I'll be sure to return for an update. Before that point comes, I'm going to have to find a divorce lawyer and get him on board with me. It's inevitable at this point that a divorce is coming. As much as I hate the idea, infidelity isn't something that I play around with. Being unfaithful is an instant reason not to be in a marriage with someone any longer. Anyway, I'll be back with an update in good time, and hopefully it'll be everything that I hope it'll be. Let's be real, Jackie's not fooling anyone. Acting all sweet and domestic because she wants you to show up at Thanksgiving? Yeah, that's not love, that's damage control. She's not trying to fix the marriage, she's trying to protect her reputation. The same woman who couldn't be bothered to talk about what's wrong for a year is suddenly humming in the kitchen like it's 2016 again? Please. And Nate? A married man? Of course he is. Update 2. I'm back with another update. To say that things went my way would be true, but at the same time, things became so chaotic that I needed to wait for some calm before I could come back to share this update. Things have finally calmed down, though my divorce hasn't been finalized. Regardless, I'll come and drop this update so you all don't need to wait too long, and so that I don't need to write for too long as well. As you know, the Thanksgiving weekend has passed. I mentioned in my last post that I was going to make an entire scene at the Thanksgiving dinner that Jackie wanted me to attend with her. It was a big gathering of her side of the family, and she needed me to go because she wanted to keep up appearances and act like we were still a happy married couple. I agreed to go only when I realized that I could help destroy that illusion. When we got there, things were fine for the most part. We all hung out for some time, and then when dinner was ready, we all went to go and eat at the dinner table. When dinner was rounding up, all of the kids went into the other room to go and play video games, which I really needed because I knew that things were going to get messy. There was a lot of small talk, but things eventually came to me and Jackie, with people asking how things were in our lives. She said things were good, and she told a bunch of lies in the process. However, as soon as I got the chance, I said, yeah, things are fine with us. Besides the affair that Jackie is having, everything is good. I acted as if I said nothing out of the ordinary, and the responses were pretty incredible to me. Some folks didn't catch it. Some were looking back and forth between people, trying to make sure that they heard right. And then there was Jackie, whose head instantly turned to look straight at me as I said that. I didn't return her gaze. One of her aunts was the one who asked whether I had really said that Jackie was having an affair, and very casually, I nodded and said that I knew she was cheating on me, but she didn't know that I knew. Jackie went straight into gaslighting mode. She put her finger in my face and called me a gosh dang liar. I calmly told her that I wasn't lying, since I had all the proof that I needed to have. She dared me to prove it. In response, I told everyone using an iPhone to turn on their AirDrop, and I sent the video that the PI had sent to me. The room was mostly silent as they waited for the video to get to the part where she stepped out of the car, but Jackie herself knew what she was watching, and her face went pale. I could see her gripping the edge of the table. She had no idea what to do right then. One by one, people started getting to the point where she got out of the car and her face was clearly in view. I started to hear gasps and shouts as they realized that she truly cheated on me. She kept receiving a lot of very heated looks. I was receiving looks of pity, though I wasn't a fan of that. I wasn't doing this for pity. I was doing it to hurt her, because that's what I needed for her. I let her know right there that there wasn't going to be any outcome for us beyond a divorce, and when we got back to our house, she'd be served. She got up and rushed out of the room. I don't know where she went, but two very angry-looking relatives followed her. Her mom was crying. Her dad looked furious. I had messed the entire dinner up, but what's Thanksgiving dinner without some family drama? I'm sure some of them were thankful for something to talk about on the drive home. The table cleared up eventually, and at various points different groups of people thronged around me. Some of them just wanted to make me feel better and let me know that it hadn't been my fault. One of them said that I shouldn't have aired out our dirty laundry like that. Others wanted to know more details, like how I had found out. I didn't hesitate to make her look the worst that she could to all those groups of people. The crazy part was that we drove home together, and it was absolutely silence since the kids were in the car. To say it was awkward would be an understatement. I could keep sensing her glancing at me. When we got back and put the kids in bed, I went to pour myself a drink, and that's when she came to confront me. Her first question was to ask me when I found out. I asked her whether it mattered. I told her that I found out at a point when it had probably been going on for way too long. She asked me whether I felt like it had been necessary to embarrass her that way, and I told her that I did. I told her that it didn't equal the level of pain and betrayal she had put me through, having a whole affair. She didn't say anything to that. I let her know that we were going to get divorced and that the papers would be served to her the next day. I let her know that I resented her for how she had treated me for the last year. She was done with us, and that was fine. But to treat me like I was trash because the new love of her life was somewhere out there was not the kind of thing that I deserved. Looking back, what probably annoyed me the most was that she had very little to say about the actual divorce, and more about how I humiliated her. It made me feel better that I handled things the way I had. The next day, she got served with the papers and signed them without wasting much time. I also got my PI to get me her affair partner's wife's phone number, and when she was in the shower, I used her phone to send a message to her affair partner's wife, letting her know that the owner of that number had been sleeping with her husband. When she saw the message, she seemed an urge away from trying to strangle me. She was furious with me for that. I don't know if it's because I had made her life very messy, or if it was because her affair partner, Nate, was about to be very angry with her. Either way, I left her to deal with all of that. At this point, the divorce is in process, so I should have the final update for you all soon. Update 3. My divorce has been finalized and I couldn't be happier. It was a very standard split. Our money was split down the middle. We share custody of the kids, but she keeps the house. No surprise there, sadly. I'm also paying alimony and child support. I didn't expect that I was going to free myself without having to pay a dime, so nothing's in the actual split surprised me. I'm just glad that I didn't have to be bound to her anymore. What's crazy is that I know for a fact that she's been avoiding her family. The kids want to see their marital grandparents, and they told me as much. However, it is clear that Jackie is avoiding them at all costs, and I'm sure it has to do with the whole drama that I caused. They are very disappointed in her, which makes sense, since they're very religious people, and I don't think a single person in her family has ever had to be divorced, at least not anyone older than her. Normally, this kind of family drama is the kind of stuff she tried to get me to comfort her over, but not this time. She can deal with it all on her own, or perhaps with Nate by her side if she's still seeing her affair partner. I heard from one of her relatives that she had a brawl with Nate's wife in front of his house. How embarrassing. To be honest though, I don't care. I'll take care of my kids and live my own life and leave her to do whatever it is that she wants to spend her time doing. I'm glad to be done with her, and for me, that's it. She's furious about being embarrassed, not about cheating. That says everything. You were the rock, the parent, the provider, and she spent a year treating you like a placeholder until some younger guy came along. Every tear she cried, every yell she spat at you at the dinner, entirely self-inflicted. What would you have done in this situation? Let us know below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.